Well, good evening. We're tracking a significant severe weather risk that could unfold across parts of the southeast tomorrow. Let's get right into it. This is the latest HER model that has come out this evening. And what we're going to be watching for are multiple rounds of strong and even severe thunderstorms across a good chunk of the southern U.S., places like Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, Alabama, maybe even to parts of Tennessee and the Florida Panhandle as well. So starting off here, this is about 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. Again, this is the HER model. We'll take a look at a few different models here. And as we go throughout the morning, there should be an increase in rain and storm activity across parts of Mississippi and Alabama. This is way out ahead of the main kind of area of storms that we'll be watching for that could have the chance of producing some strong and even severe thunderstorms across the area. But is this area right here that blows up? This is going to be one to watch because it could, depending on how it all plays out, there could be a lesser threat across parts of Alabama, or there could be a greater threat depending on how this kind of unfolds. But places further to the west, places in eastern Texas, western Louisiana, those places will have a pretty significant chance of some severe weather tomorrow. So as we get to 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, we'll be watching that batch again across parts of Mississippi and into Alabama to see how that kind of impacts the overall environment over there. But as we get into the late morning, early afternoon hours, we'll start to see a big cluster of showers and storms developing here across parts of northern Mississippi into Arkansas, Louisiana, and eastern Texas. And it's these cells that are developing way out ahead of that. Those could be your supercell storms that could contain a few tornadoes. Some of them could be on the strong side, those EF2 or greater type tornadoes. That is something we will definitely have to watch for tomorrow. And as we head later on to the afternoon hours, we should start to see a big QLCS, it's a quasi-linear convective system. I know that's a big word right there. Basically, it's just a big line of storms that has bows, kinks, little features inside of it. It's not a complete solid straight line, and those could have some damaging winds and even the chance of a few tornadoes inside of that line. So this is 7 p.m. in the evening. Still watching for any storms out ahead now of that line across parts of eastern Mississippi into parts of western Alabama. Those could pose a severe risk as well. But really the latest guidance is hinting at a later arrival time once you get into the Alabama area. Again, still watching those cells developing out ahead of the line. Those could be severe, but the main line itself should be moving through probably during the later evening hours as it looks now, probably around 8 to 10, or between 8 to 10 p.m. I think is a good bet. Probably closer to 9 or 10, but 8 to 10 is probably a good window just in case it does speed up a little bit, which they have done so in the past, some of these storm systems. Here's 11 p.m. now getting into parts of western Alabama, places like Florence, over to Hamilton, Tuscaloosa, down to Meridian, Mississippi, Hattiesburg, Mississippi, down into now New Orleans, seeing that southern end of the line. Again, as this moves through, main threat would be damaging winds, but we could also see a couple of tornadoes in the mix as well. Once we get into the early morning hours, late overnight hours going into your Sunday morning, we should start to see a decrease in the severe weather potential the further east you go. Still a pretty hefty area of rain and storms here. From Gadsden, Alabama, down towards Montgomery, and eventually down towards the Pensacola area. Line of storms still moving into the Mobile area if this model does verify at 2 o'clock in the morning. But again, as it moves further to the east, you see how it kind of loses its big punch, big amount of energy and instability as it moves on through. So that should allow the storms to weaken. This is 5 a.m. on Sunday, and eventually Sunday afternoon, we should start to see those storms kind of ramp back up across parts of the eastern coast, places like Raleigh, North Carolina, down towards Wilmington, places in South Carolina also seeing some of that chance for some stronger storms going into the day on Sunday. So that's a look at the HER model. Here, real quick, is what the Storm Prediction Center Outlook has. I'll take myself off of this map so you can see it. This is the Storm Prediction Center Outlook for your Saturday. This runs from Saturday at 6 a.m. to Sunday at 6 a.m., so that's that 24-hour window. enhanced risk of severe weather from Lake Charles up to just the western parts of Alabama, places like Pickens County over there towards Reform, Utah, some of those smaller communities over there in western Alabama. That's where the greatest chance of seeing that severe weather threat is going to be, as you saw with the HRRR model there, where most of this activity, the most robust activity, happens in this area. Here is the tornado potential. You see that yellow hatched area. That means that there's a 10% greater risk of seeing a strong tornado that's EF2 or higher. And again, that's within that kind of zone during the afternoon and evening, the peak heating hours. That's where we're going to be seeing that chance for some of those stronger tornado potential. So that's a quick look at the Storm Prediction Center. I don't really want to get into a lot of that because at the end of the day, you just need to know that there is a risk that could have a significant severe weather threat with it for parts of the southeast as you go into your day on Saturday. So that's a look at the HRRR model. Let's take a look at the high-resolution NAM, the 0Z. Right now I'm recording this at 8:02 right now is the time on Friday. So the 0Z run's still ongoing. Let's go back to the 18Z run. So again, this is going to be your Saturday morning time frame here. Starting to see those showers and storms across parts of eastern Texas and western Louisiana as we move forward here. Notice how the high-res NAM doesn't really have that blow-up like the HRRR model showed down here across parts of southern Mississippi and southern Alabama. It's back here across parts of central Mississippi. So we'll watch and see how that kind of develops and moves through. So this is a little bit of a different solution to the outcome for tomorrow. This cluster of storms right here, these will likely be elevated. There's not a lot of instability present for these, so the severe weather threat for this batch is relatively low, but could see some stronger wind gusts in the mix there. But this is the main batch that we're watching back here. This is now 7 p.m. on your Saturday, moving into the I-55 corridor into parts of Mississippi. And then this is that big blow-up that we'll be watching for tomorrow. If that happens, and it happens in a way that kind of keeps the instability from moving further to the north, then places generally north of I-20 in the state of Alabama probably won't see a severe weather risk. If they do, it would be very, very isolated. The better chance would be further to the south with that batch coming through during the late evening hours. Here's 4 a.m. And again, this is just a different solution here. That main kind of batch moving into parts of the I-65 corridor in Alabama during the early morning hours on your Sunday. So that's a little bit of a different solution here. Again, it's this, what happens during the afternoon hours with this batch. I mean, it's just, at this point, it's just kind of a wait and see. I do think that if we get a big blow-up of rain across parts of Mississippi and Alabama, that should probably limit the northern extent of this severe weather risk. We'll kind of keep it confined closer to the coast. I still think there's a significant risk across parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, and into parts of Alabama, but it could be shunted a little bit further to the south as opposed to what the forecast is kind of looking at right now. So it's just something we'll keep an eye on. There's a chance that there could be a limit to how far north this goes that's not really shown in like the Storm Prediction Center graphic like I showed earlier. So that's kind of the timeline that we're looking for here. Again, all modes of severe weather are going to be on the table. We're talking about damaging winds, large hail, and the chance of a few strong tornadoes. That is the main thing that we'll be watching for tomorrow. So tomorrow is definitely a day to stay weather aware across a good chunk of the southeast. Make sure you have your NOAA weather radio ready. You're able to get weather alerts on your phone. You know where you're going to go, and if a tornado warning is issued for your area, make sure you got your batteries taken care of. You got batteries in case your power goes out, your phones are charged. You know, just go through your usual checklist when it comes to severe weather across your area. And again, just stay weather aware, and hopefully we'll get through this without much of an impact, and then it ends up just being a heavy rain event as opposed to an actual severe weather event. Well, we'll stick to it here. We'll stick to it here. Stay with us here. That's really what I was trying to say. Stay with us here for your latest on your forecast going into tomorrow, and we'll be doing live coverage once we get the storms starting to blow up across the area tomorrow.